This week on Thriving on Mission.
You know, the question that stuck with me from them was, do you want to get well? Because that was a question that Jesus asked the people who were sick. Yeah. The word on the street, I know the word apparently. I know somebody who knows the word on the street. Hey, welcome back to Thriving on Mission podcast. I'm the host, Matt Rogie, and I'm here with producer Quinn Harris. What's up, Quinn?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. It's been a couple months since I've been in the studio, but, you know, summertime and whatever else, you know, but we're back in here to do some more episodes, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Sure.
I will admit that there was a couple times I was like, I wanted to be lazy and just sort of like, all right, well, that was fun, but it's actually from some of the things that we talked about, or I want to talk about today as the reason, again, just being back in here and, you know, so a couple months since the last episode. You remember, that last episode was from, it was the Turban 3-3 in Memoriam episode where we talked a little bit about the events, and then specifically we focused, I wanted to share that letter from one of the Gold Star wives, Lori, and again, had no idea the response to that. And again, not doing it for therapy for myself and for the guys that died so they don't get forgotten, families, friends. And I just couldn't believe it was an honor. I tell you, and I say that to you too as well, because, you're a part of this, helping me send these stories out there. And in fact, I think I texted you a little bit and shared some of the messages that we had back from some of the widows, some of the parents. It's just crazy, and again, it's nothing that, I did or you did. It was just, but again, we were willing to sit down and, all right, let's put the time so the story can get told. And, they just appreciated having more memories, good memories, even though it was such a terrible situation. So that was super exciting to be a part of that. And I was able to connect with some friends that I hadn't connected with, really since I retired 10 years ago, which was awesome. But it was just, for me, it was an opportunity to call some people up that I hadn't spoken to, and just life goes on, right? And just touch base and, talk a little about past memories and events. And it was really encouraging. Some of the times it was funny, some of the stories, you don't remember everything, and each of us remembered different stories here and there. And one of the friends I talked to, Tim, he said, we were talking about that deployment after the guys had gotten shot down. It was about maybe a month later. And he had said, you remember that night we were down at Jalalabad and getting ready to take off from this little airport in the middle of the city. And we were on the runway, getting ready to take off, and immediately, like outside the fence line of the base, you could see tracer fire go up just sort of across our flight path. And Tim goes, Matt, and you were just sort of matter-of-factly like, all right, we'll go the other way. and even think about that statement and just the fact, I know what he's, when he brought it back up, I'm like, and it sort of makes sense the way you would say it. Life just became so normal that it's just like, tracer fire over there, so we'll just go this other direction. It's like no big deal. And just the different worlds, absolutely different worlds. And, which, and in some ways you sort of go, well, yeah, of course it's more difficult to adjust when you come back from something like that. But it's been really, it was really great to be able to do that. So
it was great for you to have me on it. Really, I caught my girlfriend watching it, and I was in the middle of telling a story, and she was like, "Why are you talking about this?" And then I got to the end of it, she was like, "Oh, okay, I get it now."
Yeah,
but it was good, man. It was fun. That was actually the most views that we've got anything out of here.
Yeah,
So you get the gold star for the year that this.
That's right. But it was cool. Again, there was nephews of some of the guys that had gotten killed. And just recently I had one of the children of one of the people that got killed reached out to me, and it was actually about a month later, and we connected now. But it was just great, because I never knew the son, but he was able to reach out to me. And it was heartbreaking too, because in a way he's sort of like, hey, do you have any more stories about my dad?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, yes, I do. Whatever, and I'll spend as much time as you would want telling you, because there's, they deserve much more than that at that point.
For sure.
So great stuff. Let's see, what else has been going on this summer? My son got engaged.
Oh, yeah.
So that was pretty.
I think I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah. That was pretty exciting. He is just super excited about it, of course, and we're excited. He's engaged to a girl that he went to high school with, and they started dating after he graduated. She was a year younger, but they've been dating ever since, and so they're super excited, looking to get married next summer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So obviously, COVID will determine the size of the wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're looking forward to it. She's an awesome young lady. We did some family photos this past weekend too, and we're like, yeah, your family.
Is he
now.
your oldest?
He's our only.
Only. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So real exciting.
Yeah.
Real exciting. Yeah.
Excuse me. Not COVID.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. So that was exciting. He's still, he's working. I think, he's gone back to school as well. Finished his master's. Most of his stuff's online, like so many people.
Yeah.
And his office is doing social distancing responsibly, so he goes into the office. And it's my wife. Chatham County just started school back, and my wife's substituting, and so she's already. You get something you wouldn't think of, but they need substitutes as well, and so she's already started. She did some training yesterday with the county, and that's a hard thing. You start hearing the stories from parents, from teachers, administrators. I mean, I pray that a lot of people are showing grace to each other, but, for everybody, it's chaos.
Yeah. I mean, you have to think how much more needed substitutes are than normal. If you're going through the COVID process of you think you have it, you're going to get tested.
Yeah.
You got to sit at home for 3-4 days until you get the result and stuff like that. I couldn't imagine. Well,
and it's all virtual still right now.
Yeah.
I was talking with a friend of mine who, and again, it's just some of these things that we don't consider. They're some friends of ours who work with refugees here in Savannah, and they were saying that just yesterday, one of the children, families from Afghanistan, and he speaks, the child's like, I think 7 or 8, he speaks English pretty well, but he, not enough still to get into Zoom and figure that stuff out yet. And so the child's frustrated. The parents are frustrated. They're scared. And yeah.
So she's a substitute for virtual
right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She, but they're using Zoom with the breakout rooms and all those different things. So she'll go into and some of it though, she'll be just helping out the teachers, with that as well.
Yeah. My mom is a secretary at a school, and so they have started back.
Okay.
From what I understand, meeting at school and stuff like that. So that was a confusion there. I thought that you were talking about that.
Gotcha.
Still.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's crazy. I did some work whenever this whole thing first happened for a professor at SCAD, getting her stuff set up, and I don't know, as far as Stacy stuff goes, but they just don't know how long it's going to last. Or
right. Yeah, I think they were saying Chatham County has said sometime in September, but the word on the street, I know the word apparently. I know somebody who knows the word on the street, January at the soonest that they would probably go back, and, and talking to people who single parents, and how does that all work? And, and I know that there's some local churches that have started proctoring sites, which is basically a place where you can drop off your child. It's not childcare, it's not tutoring or anything like that, but it's a safe place for them to stay while the parent works for some hours. So, Yeah, everybody has to show a lot of grace, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. So yeah, have you been to Savannah Bananas game?
I went to a Sand Gnats game, back in the day, but I have
Yeah,
not been to a Bananas
you need. I mean, you need to do that. And I say that my wife and I, we went to one. Maybe it was last week or the week before. It got rained out, but it was still fun.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? I mean, the game hadn't even started playing yet, but we had some friends that gave us their tickets. They had season tickets, couldn't go. And so we went. And, even in the COVID realm, I mean, they do things really well. Yeah. There was never any time where you're like, like thinking about, COVID sort of bringing down the atmosphere or, they just adjusted and, So, but yeah, lots of entertainment that they do during the games and
socially distant seating and all that
yeah.
stuff. Cool.
Yeah. So,
have you been to this thing on Riverside? Or not Riverside, River Street yet?
So my dad sent me a link. He sent me an email. I guess it was in, I think, Condé Nast Travel, seeing it's some, travel magazine, but he saw it online and sent me the link. And I go, I've read about it. I've seen it. Like when I read about it on Reddit, people are just ripping it up because
really?
It's gaudy, I think is some of the terms that they use on the inside. And I mean, it sounds to me like something that's really cool.
Yeah. We went and I was really impressed by it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the coolest thing down there. I mean, I could see how it would be considered that. I mean, it's probably 12 years ahead of technology-wise, everything else in the city. But,
right. Well, the rest of the city is cobblestones that smell like urine. And
well, they have those they have interactive touchscreen TVs where with like the sound domes over the head where you can learn about like what dinosaurs and stuff. I'm a big rock nerd, and so they have this. It's the most amazing private collection that they bought from some guy that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's impressive. It's worth, if you're already down there, it's worth going in and checking it out for sure.
Okay. I guess there's some new restaurants and
bars and shops.
Yeah. And what's crazy is I don't know, end of the year, last year is when it caught on fire during construction.
Yep.
And now it's opened back up.
Yep. We actually got some drone shots of it from here whenever it was on fire.
I remember that. Yeah. That's right, because I was here and Jim was running out with I got to go.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Very cool. Yeah. So, pretty much normal summer for us, and whatever normal is, I don't know. Yeah. So we had big plans, but they didn't happen. So, but I tell you, sort of back to, with that story of that episode from Turbine 3.3 and again, multiple emotions just going through that. And, as I was also, had a good friend that was really struggling through that time period. Another veteran, and it was hard because just by virtue of with the coronavirus, with the pandemic and social isolation, which I definitely think played a part into this guy's downward spiral to the point to where, I mean, thankfully, he didn't take his life, but, and able to come out on the other side. But, I mean, I know I've read about it. People are talking about the fact that this isolation is killing people as well. Yeah. And, so what's the right answer? It's, I'm not going to, for me personally, I'm not going to sit at home and not go to somebody who needs help, put a hand on their shoulder because I'm worried about either getting the virus or worried about passing it on of something that I don't, versus I know that this person here is hurting and they could die, they could kill themselves, something like that, and it's not to be flippant or disrespectful about the pandemic that's going on right now, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that cannot stay isolated forever. Yeah. And I don't know how that, plays into the whole big picture thing, but, there's times where I'm just like, I'm just not going to worry about it and do what I think is right. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's one of the hardest times that I can remember, and for me, it hasn't affected me nearly as bad as it's affected most people.
Right.
You know, I mean, for the most part, my life hasn't changed. You know, the stress of what's going on in our nation right now is what gives me more anxiety than anything, you know, with just everything, you know, all together. So yeah, it's a rough time for everybody to attempt to navigate.
Right.
Know, and nobody even knows where to start.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Yep.
is what's so rough about it.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, just thinking about what the next, what is it? It's August. So September, October, 2.5 months that we have. And yeah, unfortunately, things are not going to calm down between now and then. There's no way.
Well, you know, COVID may end in November. You know, you never know.
You just never know. Yeah. Yeah. So, and you know, so I just say that, you know, I was able to get plugged in with another group that I plan to talk more about in a future episode. And it's an organization called Fight the War Within. And it's an organization for suicide prevention amongst vets and first responders. And the interest, you know, is it's mostly, it wasn't formed by a vet. It was actually formed by a veteran's spouse who took his life. And, you know, but again, to see the impact, the real, I guess, real world implications of what happens when somebody does that, and to realize that, you know, it didn't have to go that way. And, you know, and a lot of times all it takes is a personal voice, somebody willing to talk to somebody one-on-one, somebody willing to listen, to hug them, you know, and, you know, before they do that. So, but yeah, this organization, it's based out of here in Savannah, and they've started to work with Nine Line Foundation, another coffee company that was not Black Rifle Coffee. It's another coffee company called 22 Sierra, which stands for the 22 suicides a day. And, you know, but just awareness, and then also if people need help. So they've got some really neat things, I think, that, on their plate for what they're planning to do to try and actually help the people who are on the edge, you know, thinking about taking that step. And so that's one of the episodes. I want to try and get the founder, get her on here. An incredible story, incredibly strong lady, and, you know, hear from her as well. Because it's, you know, something that's really important, near and dear to my heart, and, you know,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, so as you know, as we go forward, I was thinking about, all right, so what's this next run of shows going to look like? And because I do not, and this is just me personally, and maybe it's true. You know, I mean, obviously I have a story, and because of that, I was able to get a platform to start talking about things that are important and to share that story. But I also don't want to rehash the story over and over again. But at the same time, there's still things that need to be said. Things that need to be said, you know, to advocate for veterans, to advocate, you know, basically for those that are marginalized, overlooked in society, things like that, and which excites me. You know, and part of that process for me as a believer, as a follower of Christ, is, you know, the idea of discipleship and what does that look like. I've thought about that a lot over the summer. And, you know, and again, I think everybody, I've mentioned this before, everybody who's listened to one or two episodes should know that, you know, I'm a believer, you're a believer, Christians, and, you know, and both of us come from very different backgrounds, and not maybe the stereotypical background that somebody who doesn't know about church would think, you know, which leads a huge, you know, which sometimes leads to more credibility when people are thinking about that. And so just thinking about the idea of, I had this question posed to me about a week ago, and it's caused me to reflect more and more, and also make me think, all right, so what could some of these future episodes look like? And the question posed to me was, you know, if I call myself as a disciple, and a disciple is somebody who seeks to follow and imitate somebody else. And so like for you and I, we call ourselves disciples of Jesus, which means we're trying to follow and imitate him, his teachings. Really it comes from, what's his heart motive, which then manifests itself into what you say and do and what you believe. And so the question was posed to me, so are you a disciple that's worth reproducing? Yeah. And it was an interesting question to me because, really what the question is asking is, if somebody on the outside looks at your life, would they go, oh, yeah, I want to learn that, whatever that might be. Maybe it is just the way you view the world, or maybe it's the way you view certain people, or all people, or how you spend your time, how you talk to your wife, how you engage with people of different races, things like that. And it really caused me to question because, obviously, here in America, we've heard before, people will say, well, that, my relationship with Jesus, it's this personal thing, which it is. I mean, that's the cool thing about Christianity, is it is personal. Yeah. It's not some abstract concept, of some deity that's a statue on a shelf, but it's a personal relationship with something real. But at the same time, though, we know that Christ has said, hey, man, that's awesome. Yes, follow me, do as I say. But I want you to go teach other people that same thing. Yeah. And which is sometimes the hardest thing to do. Yeah. So as we go forward, I think there's a lot of application, whether people believe in Jesus as a real person, or, that they believe the fact that he's the Son of the living God, and, basically Christianity, or not, I hope that people would still listen, and, because there's things that have helped me. There's things that I've been able to pass on to others that, they weren't believers, but what I'm passing on are things that I've learned from Jesus, from the Bible, from other people who have learned those things from him. And so I think it's really important to be able to pass those on, because it could, literally, it could save somebody's life right today. I talked about, I think it was our second episode, Tim Denton and I, we talked about the organization Mighty Oaks. Mm. And that was the 5-day program that we went to for vets. And it was just an incredible experience. And the cool thing about that, as I still look at that, and that was back at the beginning of March, is the earth, it's just as strong and powerful with me right now than it was the week after I got back. And for a lot of things that we experience in life, things that are like, oh, that was so cool, it becomes this, and you could probably appreciate this, it's like going to church summer camp. Yeah. You go to, I never went, but did you?
Yeah.
Ever?
Yeah, probably different than what you're thinking of, but yeah, I grew up Catholic, so yeah,
okay.
We did, but it wasn't, it was probably close, but not the same.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, the running joke is that, you come back from church summer camp or maybe a short-term mission trip and you're all fired up and you're like, this was awesome. And then you get back into your life and just the humdrum of the world, the things that you got to pay bills, you got broken down car, and that just sort of fades away. Yeah. But the stuff that, from Mighty Oaks has just continued to really resonate with me. And some of it's been, they didn't ask me this question, but, the question that stuck with me from them was, do you want to get well? Because that was a question that Jesus asked the people who were sick. Yeah. Do you want to get well? And, and so I, again, as a disciple of Christ, as somebody who I believe what this is, I have to look at that question and honestly answer it. And if I honestly believe in Jesus, which I do, then the answer to my question has to be yes. Yeah. I don't have a choice. We do have choices, but if I want to honor who I say that Jesus is, then my actions and words have to follow that. So absolutely. So just, and again, I think that there's a lot of value with that. And with Mighty Oaks, I've been able to recommend that, to a bunch of different veterans. There was a guy, and it was only God could orchestrate this one, but I only talked to this guy via email. We finally met on Zoom one time. I didn't realize it at first that we'd already corresponded. And I said, hey, try Mighty Oaks. He was a Marine. I think he was in Iraq. Post-traumatic stress of I don't know what level, but it was affecting him still, and with sleep and relationship with his family. And I was like, hey, check this out. Just check it out. And, what's it cost? Free. So that immediately takes the first excuse out of the way. Well, how will they get there? They'll take care of that. They'll pay for your ticket. And I just, just kept on harping. I said, this is the best thing you could do for yourself and for your family right now. Everything else, it doesn't matter. Take a week of vacation if you have to. Yeah. And so he signed up. He's going the end of September. So I'm super excited about that. But another friend who was having the problems and was, really considering ending it all, I was able to get him in. I didn't really have a whole lot to do with it. I called one person that I knew at the organization, and I just said, hey, I've got a friend who's really struggling. I think this is the right path for him to go to Mighty Oaks. But he's having a lot of trouble right now. What do you think? And they were like, yes, this is exactly why the organization is here. And that call probably took place on a Friday or Saturday. I sat down with my friend. We filled out the application together. He sent it in. And by the end of the following week, he had his plane ticket to fly out the following Monday. So,
that's awesome.
And they took care of him. And he's a different person now.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's
really
just,
is.
it's just incredible. So, I cannot continue to, I will continue to beat that drum, Mighty Oaks.
Yeah.
Because, it's saving people's lives. They have more interest in it now, more people seeking it out. And probably a lot of it's because isolation is causing things to bubble to the surface. My she was supposed to go to California with Tim's wife, who were both Lisa and Stacy, who were on a couple episodes ago. But because California got closed, they couldn't go. So Stacy they put together a quick online version, very condensed. And what was really cool, which again just leads me to believe that this isn't just some program that, hey, let's just throw something into the wall and see if it sticks. But, she came out of the first day just in tears in a good way, And so again, it was just, they put together such a great program, even at the last minute online for the women. Yeah. But she's supposed to go, but she is going to go in person, hopefully next month. We'll see.
So this is Mighty Oaks as well?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So they do a men's program and a women's program, and spouses. Obviously, traditionally, it's been the females or the spouses, but spouses can go to either one, So, if you're married to a veteran with post-traumatic stress or a first responder, they can go as well for free. Yeah. And,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
really
absolutely. And really all you're doing is saying, all right, just agree to be gone for a week and let's just see what happens. Yeah. And it could definitely be transformative. So
that was my favorite episode of the first season was whenever Lisa and Stacy were here.
Yeah.
It's just, hanging out with you guys is one thing, but to hear, that it's a battle that's taking place where you are and here at the same time, and just the sacrifice that they have to make hearing it come from them was really impactful.
Yeah. I've talked to Stacy, and one of the things I want to do between now and the end of the year is at least 1 or 2 episodes. I'm going to bring her back on, and we just want to talk about marriage, relationships. And again, we don't have all the answers, but we've had a lot of people pour into us, of different teachings and wisdom and mentoring and coaching, and it hasn't all been perfect, but we think that, we've gotten to a pretty healthy place now. And again, when you see other relationships falling apart around you, and we're able to speak into some of those. But again, if we can just offer some wisdom to somebody else that might help their marriage to make it stronger, or so that's another plan too, to have her come on. I was like, hey, you want to, she can come on and co-host, and I'll let her run the show.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get, more people will probably sign on to view her, but I really enjoyed that as well. And so, excited about what this next, I don't even want to call it a season. I was like, who cares? But bottom line is this next run of episodes, which will take us up through Thanksgiving, holidays time frame. And, worst case, you and I are going to enjoy coming around, sitting here, talking. So, and just for the audience to know that sometimes we do talk about conspiracies before the tape starts rolling. So, but we're not going to bring that into this show. Yeah. We'll save that for another.
I talk enough about it. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. But so we'll just see what that's like, and again, just, we'll keep on having fun and keep on enjoying it. But Quinn, I just, again, thank you so much for, for allowing me to be here, for the time and, the effort you put into the show as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. So till next week or the next episode that comes out, thanks for listening, and we will see you all then.